Okay, it's finally time to get one of the 200-watt panels up on the roof. Now, if you remember, we bought two 200-watt panels, and it was our full intention to put two 200-watt panels on the roof. Unfortunately, that's not going to work, and here's why. The AC unit to edge of the RV distance is just too narrow. A 200-watt panel would fit in there, but it will always be shaded either in the morning or the daytime, and I don't want to shade a 200-watt panel. So we're going to put the one 200-watt panel in the most logical location where it can get the most open sun, and then we'll use smaller 100-watt panels around the AC unit. The 100-watt panels are about 7 inches narrower than the 200-watt panel. So we'll still have shading, but it'll only be impacting a 100-watt panel, one panel in the morning, one panel in the afternoon.
Your edge.
Yep. That shit wants to work. I'd never played with the VHB before, and man, that stuff is sticky. So this is quite a bit of a trick with a 30-pound panel to get it lined up perfectly and then be able to, with only one try, drop it into the right spot. We got pretty darn close. I think we probably missed by a 1/4 inch of what our target was, and that was plenty close enough to go forward, to move forward with fastening the rest of the way down. But pretty sketchy when you're up there and you only get one try. Advantage of the flexible panel is that you can walk on them, or you can kneel on them, crawl on them, what have you. The rigid's not so much. You got to leave yourself room to move around. Hey FedEx man, bring me another battery. Wait, where's it going? I need another battery. So first test, it's hooked up. What's the amp hour production without it in place, and then what is the amp hour production with it in place? And it passed with flying colors. It basically tripled the amp hour production that the two 100-watt flexible panels were putting out. So let's screw her down and finish the Dicor job. I used an 8-foot step ladder to access the panel from off the side of the view. It's right about the perfect height. We tried to utilize a extension ladder, but the extension ladder rests on the awning for the slide. It probably would have been okay, but it wasn't something that I wanted to test unless it was absolutely necessary. Okay, so everything's pinned down. We only got a minor amount of Dicor on our hands and tools, which is pretty successful. Somehow I put a glove in it. It's a thing with Dicor. I don't know how it happens, but it just happens every friggin' time, and then it's just a goddamn mess. We are taped down with 3M VHB tape, about 1.25 inches width on all of the 8 feet, and we've got 16 3/4 inch lath screws going into the roof structure with Dicor coating the threads, Dicor over the screws. We shouldn't have any problems. Dicor seals up a lot of good stuff. Next we got to measure the cable. So I hooked up a temporary pigtail just to make sure that the panel was actually operational before we screwed it all down. And now it's time to get a final measurement for the final cable installation. So we're gonna do that right now. Okay, so you're not looking at my hind end while we do this. Let's grab a quick measurement. Let's get the cable out of Dicor. That's always something that happens whether you like it or not. Everything likes to get into wet Dicor. So we're going to come out the side. We're not going to be tense. We're going to come fairly directly over to this panel and really, with a couple inches to spare, really we need to go to the end of this first cable. That's what we need. That'll put us perfect. We can hit any of the three, and we've got a little room to move around. So I think this is a 3-foot cable. Is a 3-foot cable, so I need to cut a 3-foot cable with an SAE adapter on the end, and then a reversing plug, because we still have a ZAMP controller. We will be replacing the ZAMP controller so that we don't have to go through these gymnastics of reversing polarity, which you know, is fine, but it requires you to do a whole lot of, you got to do polarity testing every step of the way, otherwise you're likely to melt stuff. So that's down the road, and we also want a more efficient controller. We'll put in a decent MPPT controller, get us a little more energy off the sun, probably not enough to make up for the price differential, but we'll do what we need to do. Last thing I want to do up here is still got some oak tree dust on this panel from earlier in the spring when we were panel testing this guy, so I want to get some of that off. Now the trick is going to be, maybe I should wait till the Dicor dries in order to do that, because the likelihood that I'm going to get Dicor is probably pretty high, so let's not do that right now. So to wind up the 200 watt panel install, we got the panel in and electrically connected about 12:30 in the afternoon. I ran it all afternoon long and went and took a look at the amp hour production after dark. Previously, with the 200 watt panels up there, we'd never gotten more than about 30 amp hours in a day. I was at over 80 amp hours with the 200 watt panels plus the 200 watt rigid panel. So just and that missed 5 hours of good sunshine, so that was quite a substantial increase in the output that 200 watt rigid panel gives us. We're really looking at, that thing is about triple the output of the 200 watts of flexible panels that are currently up there now. So very, very happy about that. So next time we're going to take off and go to Yosemite for a couple of days and check out the waterfalls and do a little hiking. When we get back next week, we'll be looking at putting some of the 100 watt panels on and doing the final wiring on the 200 watt panel, as I have to have a custom piece of cable that's ordered and should be here late in the week. So until then, take care, and we'll do some more installing hopefully next week.